Hello everybody, welcome to Lazy Mini Painting. I'm Les, the man sat on this side of the camera, and obviously all you sat on that side of the camera. Nice to meet you all, hope you're all having a good day, and hello. I've got to learn how to do better intros, haven't I? But before I can learn to do better intros, I've also got to wait for YouTube to catch up with me. Because for some reason it doesn't want to, and it takes forever. See, there's one of them. And now we've got to wait for another couple. Just so I know it's actually got all of them to put through. Now I've just got to figure out which one it is. It's that one. I found the portrait mode one. So I can come and join you all in portrait mode as well as on the horizontal mode. It's always good when I can see all my chat rooms, isn't it? Everyone can see all my normal chat because it comes up in one big chat box for everybody else. But for me, no. I don't know why, but it doesn't. It separates itself and becomes difficult. So I've got my phone at the side, so if I do that, it's because I'm reading. Okay, so where are we up to tonight? What are we doing? Good idea, I need to start with that. Tonight we are working on World Eaters still, because it's models and musings. We usually do 40k on those nights. So it is World Eaters, because this is the last models and musings of September. And we know what next month is, don't we? Well, at least I do. And some other people might know what next month is. Next month is ORKtober. Which means I do have to, well, I don't have to, but it is customary within the hobby to do orcs during that period, especially if you collect them. And I do. Now, my original plan, my original plan was to do the Stomper. I've realised how much work the Stomper actually needs. So I've changed my original plan and I'm going to do Lasgull instead. Because he's all in one piece. I mean, he's got lots of gubbins and lots of things to paint all over him. But he is in one piece. That is the good thing. But before we get on to Lasgull, we need to do more on the Terminators and the Hellbrute for the World Eaters. It means a lot of brass this time. A lot of brass. Good evening, Gojo. And hello, Anfield. I'm not doing too bad, Gojo. How are you doing? I'm doing alright. It's 9:30 at night. I'm ahead of schedule because I'm not running around like a headless chicken, trying to figure out what I forgot to do, like do a wet palette or film a water pot or get my paint ready or get models out, basic things that you would expect people to do when they're doing painting streams. So yeah, it's thank you very much, Mojo. I think these are an old kit now. If you're collecting Warhammer now for sort of starting out, this is an old Terminator kit for the Chaos Space Marines. I imagine it's going to get a bit of a redo over the next year. It doesn't mean these units won't be usable. It just means that there might be a slight scale difference between these ones and the new ones. But they should still work fine, as I found out with the standard Space Marines and the new sculpt that they've done for those Terminators. You can still combine them and slap them into a unit, and they don't look too dissimilar. And good evening, Lee. If you've popped over to that one, right? Okay. I need to keep track of that. Who's in which chat room? Because I have portrait mode and I have horizontal mode. And as I said at the start of the screen, it splits the chats up for me. So I get one on down here, and I get one up there. And the hardest thing to do while you're streaming is keep up with chat. And that's when it's on one screen. When it's on two, it becomes a lot more difficult. You could Gojo. It just requires patience and I was going to say a steady hand, but then that would rule me out completely because my hand isn't steady. It's patience more than anything else that this requires. And don't ask me how I hold my patience on this because I'm not a very patient person, if I'm all honest. I'm not that much of a patient person. So how I managed to do this, I have no idea. Hello, Twisted and Beaky. Welcome in. Welcome both in. Thank you for coming to join me today. But yeah, this is the last you're going to see of the World Eaters for at least a month. I'll probably come back to them in November. Hopefully I'll have more of them by... Will I have more of them by then? No, I've got to go through the Gene Stealer cults and the Astra Militarum first, haven't I? Or the Imperial Guard, and then I get more World Eaters. I mean, I might come back to these models, but I won't be finishing off the Force. Not for a while yet. Not till next year. Granted, it is only another, 2 Lords of Execution, 2 more units of Khorne Berserkers, and then Jackals, and I think I threw in a Forge Fiend. Because I'm going to get, it's either going to be a Forge Fiend or a Mauler Fiend. Now, a Mauler Fiend would fit thematically more with the army, but a Forge Fiend just gives them that little bit of ranged ability that the rest of the army lacks because it's all melee. So I'm going to go for the Forge Fiend just so it's got something on the back line that can stand there and shoot while everything else runs forward. Otherwise, it's just going to be a lot of stuff running at people. Yes. If meds are wearing off, then that is definitely a good idea to get them kicked in again and then twisted. Hello, Ali. Welcome in. Thank you. I noticed you're in there. You're in the portrait mode again for me. Thank you very much. I've just painted a nice big bit of brass on the end of that Tuscan. Did I mean to? Oh, actually, I could get away with that. I may have just done a happy little accident that I didn't know. We'll only find out when I get around to doing that bit in a little bit. And so hopefully I will get most of these Terminators done tonight, along with the brass for the Hellbrute. And then I can at least start looking at filling in any of the red areas that have not quite gone into the edges with the darker tones. So that's coming back in with the Khorne red and then layering over with the Mephiston red, and then finally a very, very light going over with the Scarlet, which won't be happening tonight. Just to let you know, I won't be going back over red tonight at all. You're in both, Ali. Okay, fair enough. You made some nice bright... I noticed what you put in the work in progress, Twisted, and the lighting that you've set up for that model already is looking pretty good. How you're going to pull the lightning effect off, I don't know. I've seen people do it, but I don't know how to. So how that's going to work, I'm not sure. Although going off how you've done a lot of the other things, I should imagine it'll be done quite successfully. You seem to be getting really good at your lighting. Yes, that is a little bit of jealousy from my voice, but not too much. I'm just not good at the volumes. I mean, I can get where it's going to go, and I know which bits are going to be light and which bits are going to be dark. Pardon me. But to actually get layered up volumes to make that, no, I can't do that. That's difficult. That's going to take me a lot more practice at brush control and airbrush control, and I need I'm lacking a lot in airbrush control. I'm getting there with brush control though. Don't get me wrong, I'm getting there with brush control. EB, what's up, homie? You know how it works, let me know. And then you can completely derail my entire stream by making me hear my own voice. Although I'll never get better at it unless I get used to it, so it has its pluses and its minuses for obviously having guests up with OBS. Granted, it was a lot easier when I was using more like panel-based streaming software as opposed to dedicated solo streaming software, which makes it a little more difficult. Not impossible, just a little more difficult. I need to figure out how to mute my own headset for me, so I can't hear myself. Then it'll work easily. No worries, man. As I said, usual case. If you want, you know how to, and just say. But the same goes for if Blake came in, or JV, or Dorito, or Squirrel, or Arius, as well as a few others that might not be quite as well known to everyone watching. I know certain ones out there, like, who on earth is that? I haven't got a clue. Who's Arius? Don't know. But other people will know who Arius is. Same as other people will know who Squirrel is, even though he's not been around for a very long time on YouTube. He's certainly been keeping himself busy in the real world. Which is not a bad thing. It's just merely a thing. I believe he was doing okay with his YouTube adventure. You thought you'd ordered your second box of Votan, but you have to get them on Wednesday. You have to get your first box built and painted first, just so you know what you're doing. And you've got your colour scheme, and you've got it all written down. You know which colours go where, and then your second box you'll fly through because you've got your first one already done. But if you end up getting a second box before you've done your first, you'll end up with a pile of shame. And as much as people might say it's a badge of honour to have a pile of shame in this hobby, it isn't really. It just means you've got more models than you've been able to paint. If you can be on the other side of that, where you're painting models as quick as you're buying them, you're in a very lucky situation. Situation that not many of the people in this hobby will ever get in. Point where you're in front on your models. Yes, I know, but if you can do that before your second one arrives, then hey, you're ahead of the game. You don't end up in the position that, like me and Twisted and Silvers and all the other collectors and players end up in, which is we have more models unpainted than we have painted. And then we have to try and justify it to our spouses why we need to get more. Whereas if you've got them collected and painted and done, you've got more justification to your spouse as to why you are going to get more. Because at least you got through them, you painted them, you did everything that you're supposed to do, and then you moved on to the next set. Yeah, you end up with a storage room full of shame rather than a pile of shame. I've not quite got a full storage room full of shame, but I'm getting there. I'm still getting outdone by Twisted and Graham though, at the moment. Which is a good thing. Because when I'm having a discussion with Sparkles as to why I want more models, I can use those two as an example of people who have more. As to why my collection isn't as bad as she thinks it is. And that was a look and a half, that one. That was like, what do you mean it's not as bad as I think it is? I've seen it. It is awful. Those Tyranids only went away for the first time in 2 months today. Got a table back in the living room now. Instead of having that big daft box on it. So for anyone who is watching who's not aware of what I'm doing at the moment, I am painting the brass trim on all of these models. So they have essentially like a raised layer around most of the armor parts that usually gets painted in a different colour. Mostly metallics in the case of Chaos, either golds or brasses or bronze. So that's what I'm doing, is I'm painting all that trimming. So if you see all the white bits, a lot of the white bits on these, they're the bits that I'm going to do. Yes, Ali, if looks could kill, then I would no longer be streaming. And you'd all have just witnessed me go live on camera. Which is why I'm glad looks don't kill, because, well, my streaming career would have ended years ago if that was the case. Because let's not play about here. I have made one or two comments on this channel that some people may find controversial. I'm not going to repeat them because I can't remember what they are. I just know I've made comments that some people may go, you can't say that. It's like, you can. You can. Good evening, I can't read this way around. The Nobregas is. I can't read that way around. But thank you for coming in, and thank you for them. I wish I'd designed these. Sadly, I didn't. These were all done by Games Workshop, but they are cool looking models, I've got to say. I didn't have to put them into my World Eaters army, but having Terminators in a World Eaters army just seems. Yeah, you can't not. Alright, they might not be the Red Butchers from the lore, which in itself is a little bit of a shame, but they'll still do what they need to on the tabletop. They'll still act like Terminators. Still toughness 5, toughness 5, 3 wounds, and a 2+ save with a 4+ invul. So it's still a bit of a pain to take down if you've only got light arms fire. So if you've not got any dedicated anti-elite or anti-tank, then it's certainly a unit that's going to cause you worry. But if you do have dedicated anti-elite or anti-tank, then it's just one of the targets for that unit. But I have several targets for those type of units to shoot at, not just this one. And out of all the things I'm putting on the board, this isn't your biggest worry. The biggest worry is going to be Angry Ron, because he can move a lot quicker than these, and he will just come. His whole purpose is just run at you like a missile with an axe and a sword, and just bash, 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 bash. Oh, right, that means I've got to learn Tabletop Simulator. Okay. I'll learn Tabletop Sim. And we can do a very, very brief run through of how to play a mission. I mean, as basic goes, we'll probably run combat patrol rules as opposed to full rules. That's actually that depends on whether or not you've got the combat patrol. Right, I've got to learn. Basically, I've got a month to learn how to use Tabletop Sim properly to set up a game. That's what you're telling me, EB. Good evening, Francois. Hello. So yeah. So if anyone in chat knows how to do this and is willing to go, you want to know somewhat, lads? We know how thick you are. We know how daft you are. I'll talk you through it. Please feel free. Please, yeah, I will accept that. But if I can then start setting up tabletop sim games, not only for Warhammer but for D&D and other things as well, then I start running lots of games that people can join in on. That would be fun. I mean, there are other methods to play D&D, I know that much, but everyone being able to see the table, see the dice rolls, and things like that, it does just help a little bit. That is most of his brass bits. Oh, no, wait a minute. Right in his hand there that I've missed. Of course, there's a spot right underneath. That's really awkward to get to, especially when your brush is deciding he wants to be at cock angled and not be a flat, straight brush, and is just not playing ball properly. You can get the digital codes, and you've got the digital rulebook. Well, I've got the digital codes. For both my Tyranid and my Space Marine Codex. So running them as an army is fine at the minute because it's got all the FAQs and everything else updated in the app. Transferring it over to Tabletop Sim, I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. And you're going to have a lot of mechanics that I'm not used to because I've never played Votann before. So your grudge counters and things that you'll get, I don't know how they work. I'm just going to tell you now, I'm not going to try lying to you and say, yeah, I know everything I can do. I've got no idea how the Votann play. I've never played against them and I've never used them. I know they get grudge tokens which can alter like AP and accuracy and things, but how often and when you can apply them, I'm not sure. If you can apply them multiple times per turn, that's going to be something that's a pain in the rear end to keep track of. I'm not going to lie. An absolute nightmare to keep track of if it's a multiple resource to use each and every turn. Like the Surge rule for the World Eaters. The standard Berserkers get to make a move each time they get shot at. So that can happen multiple times. And all of a sudden, what was 24 inches away is now within charging range on its next turn. Which is not what you want if you're facing World Eaters, let's be honest. You want to keep them at arm's length as much as possible. Because smashy things you don't want to be up close to them. And when the entire army is smashy things, it kind of makes it obvious what you need to do to win against them. Which is, of course, not go bloody near them. Make sure they've always got 24 inches away from you so they can't advance, move, advance, then charge into you. Which is possible. They can reach 24 inches away off a standard move, advance, charge if they can pull it off. Nice 8-inch move does help with that. Plus a full, you need at least a 4 to get a 12-inch on your advance, but then you need to roll 12 inches on your charge. Further forward you can get with the advance, the better chance you've got with the charge. Votann are very much a shooty. We have a bit of melee, but would rather keep you over there and shoot you. They have that type of army. Kind of like Space Marines, they can do a little bit of melee, and there are some melee units, but ideally they want to shoot. That's where you're getting more money's worth out of them, or more costs for more for your points. Don't get me wrong, Space Marines are still pretty good in melee. There are units that are specifically for melee, like the same as there are the Votan. I think we get the Votan ones in a few weeks. Or I think I get the Votan ones in a few weeks. I know I get the rest of the bikes next week, or this week even. Wednesday? Yeah, 2 days. Or a day and a half, depending on how you look at it, because I'm nearly at the end of Monday now. It's more like a day and a half before I get the other half of the bikes, and then I can finally finish putting them together. I'm not having the guard is still slightly frustrating. I just have one unit. I'm missing that one unit. And it is frustrating. Not that it's enough to do a 2,000 point army. And I'm not entirely sure if I will push the Leaves of Votan up that high. Obviously I am with the World Eaters. I've already started to expand them by incorporating the Chaos Marines, getting a proxy Angron, getting proxy 8 bounds. I'm finishing off the. I think it ends up as 1995 as the total points value. 5 points off 2,000, which is close enough. You're not going to be able to do anything with that 5 points, so you might as well just not be bothered about it. And it won't make that big of a difference taking a unit out and putting something in that's 5 points more expensive. It'll just ruin how the army works. The main bulk of the army is Khorne Berserkers, just standard battle line infantry for them. Oh, there'll be a Lord Invocatus as well, or a Lord on Juggernaut, depending on how I build him. I think I'll build him as a Lord Invocatus just because it's a better model, better special rules, and I can always run him as a Lord on Juggernaut should I wish to, anyway. But if we actually build him as Lord Invocatus, then there's less arguing with people who are like, no, you can't use that. Yeah, I can. It's the proper one, proper loadout. Not that I play against anyone that usually has issues with proxies. I'll play against anyone at the moment. Yes, if anyone has any questions, I will do my best to answer. Again, I said, I'm not an all-knowing. There's lots of stuff that I don't know about Warhammer 40,000. But in that same instance, there's all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff stuck in my head about lore, old rules, different editions, current editions, and many factions that I don't collect as well. So it is a possibility I might know the answer to your question. I'm just not guaranteeing it. Because there is so much to this hobby. Literally so much to this hobby. It's just not true. Just ridiculous. Just going down the road of why are there Space Marines and Chaos Space Marines? Why is there 2 different forms of them? Well, some of them turned away from the Emperor's Light, which is the savior of humanity, supposedly. He's the one who looks after humanity and guided them into the stars. And some of them decided, no, he's not worth our respect and our love and our adoration anymore. We're going to go find we found these other gods who give us gifts. And now we fight against what was their brothers in arms. Because they thought they got lied to and don't like it. They're in a big daddy strop. My dad said no. Essentially. That's what it boils down to. Daddy Emperor said no to Magnus. Can't use psychic powers. So Magnus had a bit of a hissy fit. Broke one of his dad's new toys. And because he did that, that let the Chaos Gods through and start corrupting everything. So was it Magnus's fault? Damn bloody right it was. Should Magnus be held to blame? Yes, he should. Who is Magnus? He's a Primarch of the Thousand Sons, who are one of the Chaos Traitor Legions. In this case, I've got the World Eaters, who are another Traitor Legion. But these ones are angry because, well, Angron wanted to die on his home planet, and the Emperor said nope, and teleported out of there just before all his mates got shot in a killing zone. How good is that for him, eh? It still shocks me how I've got the patience to do it, Ali, don't worry. As I was saying earlier, I'm quite an impatient person. But for some reason when it comes to this, I do have a modicum of patience. I don't understand why. It just works that way. I'm taking full advantage of it. I'm going, right, well, if I've got patience for this, I'll do this for the thing where I sit out for a bit. Lots of Terminators, and I've seen red bits on fists and all sorts that I've missed. But once I've done the brass bits, I can go back and see what bits I've left white. And why I've left them white, if I have. Because there will be reasons. Either got to be done skull, like bony coloured, or leather, or his chainmail, or it's going to be a different colour essentially. Well, yeah, kind of. I don't get it twisted in all honesty, because if I try and sit down and paint when it's just me, without all this, I still struggle to do it. But as soon as I've set up lights and cameras, and I can do it. I can sit down and I can actually paint. But I try and do it without the cameras and the lights and all that stuff, and nope. I'm bored in 10 minutes. I can't even listen to podcasts or anything like that because they just distract me. So, yeah, for me it's weird. I can only paint on camera. Really, unless I know it's going to be a quick paint job, then I could probably do it off camera. But there's not many quick paint jobs from me. I mean, I do paint fairly quick compared to other people on this planet. Don't get me wrong. But there are people who paint even quicker than me. They'll just do what I've done as a setup and then just block colour like I did with the Tyranids and slap chop the entire bloody model. Which is fine if that's the look you're going for. It's not the look I'm going for, so I'm not going to use that method. It was for the Tyranids, which is why I used it. But for these guys, no. Slap chop will not work. Although, if you do listen to Games Workshop and how they advertised, then yeah, their contrast paints are wonderful. They're going to work on everything. When we've actually looked at it and tried it and used it, we've realised no, it doesn't. It doesn't work on everything. Why did I pick him back up? Oh, I remember. What I do. The little spike on his head there. Because of course he's got a little spike on his head. Why wouldn't he have a stupid little spike in awkward positions? And two down the sides of his head as well. Because of course he has. He couldn't just make it nice and simple for me, could he? No. Just because it takes 40 hours for a basic infantry. No, it doesn't. It doesn't mean you're slow because it takes 40 hours for a basic infantryman. It just means that I'm slightly quicker than you. That's all that means. But as I said, there are people who are quicker than me. So we can't really. It's definitely a weird, strange hobby, considering you have so many different ways to do the same thing. And although we will get marginally different results, you basically get the same thing. You end up with a painted model at the end of it. Some better than others. You and Twisted, the amount of hours that you put into models, it shows at the end of it. Don't get me wrong, it does show at the end of it. Yes, I'm perfectly happy and fine with my standard of painting, but I'm going for tabletop standard. I'm not going for that extra mile. I'm a lot more of a perfectionist than me because I'm not spending 40 hours on a standard infantryman. Nope. I want to be able to paint a standard infantry from start to finish in 2 hours. I've got 70 of the bleeding things. I don't want to be sat there painting 40 hours for one when I've got 70 of them. What's 400 hours times 7 just to do infantry? No. In fact, I've got 75 of them. And that's not even counting the assault intercessors. Or anything that's not Space Marines for that matter. So yeah, I'm not putting too much time into something that's way too bulky in my box. As long as the bolters be red, the shoulder pads be blue, and the armour is black, I am happy. And then I get to move on to the stuff like the Blade Guard veterans, which do have more detail on them, so you have to paint the shields, the swords, and all the extra little bits that they have on them. I mean, when I get to paint Lazgul, that's going to be interesting because I've remembered how much gubbins and bits and things that I've put on him, and there is loads. Not to mention the 3 Gretchen and the Squig, as well as the Orc head. Obviously, the Chaos arm is going to have to be painted green now, so it looks more like an augmented Orc arm. Which in itself just gives a big splodge of green on the model. I have pretty much decided though that I'm going to have to paint my Orcs yellow. Although because I've got... Ooh, I'm going to paint them yellow. I've got these that are red, I've got Space Marines that's black and blue, I've got Tyranids that are purple, green and yellow. Which kind of narrows the amount of colours that I've used and what is available now for others. Obviously, Orcs are going to have green on them, which I've already decided it is. It's going to be the Death Guard green, because I've got loads of it, and it's a slightly different green than what they want. It's not as bright as normal Orc green. Oh, have you popped Francois' link in, Ali? Thank you very much. And Twisted is giving us a heads up on what is going to be the miniature of the month next month, which is a rattling sniper. See, the rattlings used to be the squats. So now you've got rattlings and Leagues of Votan, which are two different things, two different armies and biological compositions of demi-human. And one gets his own army and one just stays as snipers in the Imperial Guard army. Oh, poor doggo got to go dentist. That's not good. Well, I mean, as long as it's a checkup and he's not wrong, that's fine. That's okay. Although I've got to book Kitty Cat in for claw snips as well soon, because her claws need snipping. Especially her dew claws, because that grows really quick to the point where it can grow into a pad now. We need to get that sorted. Not comfortable, not nice. We need to get that sorted for her. So then she can walk and not get stuck on anything that's fabric. How? Hello. I'm fine, how are you? Thank you for popping in. Let's hope so, Ali. Let's hope so. Now that little doggo's got a little bit older. No, I don't know if he's had Kanaka's cut or the female equivalent. That usually helps calm him down. Excellent, nice to know you're good. Are you also a collector, How? Because I know we have new friends in portrait mode. Oh, we did have. There we have new friends. Let's go and make sure that I'm not chatting completely out of my rear end. No, yeah, we do. We have the Nobrengas, who I believe doesn't collect either. I could be wrong on that. I could be severely wrong on that. But oh, you're working on your own miniature game. Awesome. Is Silvers in? I think Silvers is working on a game as well. Oh, cool! You play Orc, so you're really looking forward to next month then. Because next month is the month dedicated to Orcs, even if most of the world doesn't realise it. The Orc collectors know it is. And that's when I get to paint my kit bashed Gazgul proxy. I like proxies. Because they're cheaper than the real ones. And they can be just as good. As long as you actually know what it is and you're not trying to completely screw your opponent over by going, this Gretchen, this is a stomper. No, that doesn't work. That does not work. But if you've got something of comparable size and it's like, that's big enough to be what. In fact, that's bigger than the real model. So yeah, definitely big enough to be what you want it to be. I try and keep it on that size if I can. So obviously that means that my Lasgull proxy is a bit of a chunky boy. It's essentially a Nemesis Dread Knight armour been converted with Orky stuff. Not as thick as the actual Gaz model, but it is slightly, well, it's actually quite a bit taller, I think. But it does stand kind of toe to toe-ish with my Angry Ron proxy as well. No, you're right. Oh no, right. You can find Francois. No, I'm God. I'm the closest. He even said, I'm made in his image. God's an ugly git. Well, yeah, if you can imagine a man just getting everybody on the planet and smashing all the faces together into one face, and that's what God looks like. He's an ugly git. Yeah, Ali's good at finding things like YouTube channels, and if you come in and you've got a YouTube channel, Ali will find it, and as she knows, she has my permission to post. If somebody's got a link in there, she can go ahead and post it. That's not a problem, Hal. You sat on a channel with just over 200 subscribers, so we're hardly here to criticise other channels about whether or not they can do things or whether or not they can't. We're not here for that. If you have a channel, then you have a channel. If people are interested, they can go and watch. If they don't wish to go watch, nobody forces them. We just give them the option. Oh, poor dog goes grounded in the living room for tearing stuff up, Francois. Young dogs are, you've got to get those things out of them quite quickly. Especially if they're naturally a dog that will want to chew and slather over everything that you've got. I'm thinking like boxers and things like that. Those lovely dogs, but they have everything. Good evening, Dan. Good evening. Same thing goes out to you as what went out for EB. Let me know. I will send the link, and you can listen to my voice change as I can then hear myself. Well, I told you. However, there is no obligation, so don't feel like you have to come up. Just I know you feel comfortable enough on camera to be able to. Not everybody is that comfortable on camera. I'm not sure how I am. Because to me, this doesn't. Even though I'm conscious of the camera, it's not what most people are. Yeah, most people can't do just natural in front of the camera. We do, and never mind just you two, all of us do. We need one, me, you, Captain, JV, Blake, Dan. We need all of us back on again. All of us back in one place. And Dan's thinking, no, I can't keep up with you lot. I'm more of a family man. I'm not sitting in that chat room. Because you lot might just go off on me. You're not camera shy. You can't be camera shy. You're behind the bloody camera too much. Well, if you're camera shy, then I'm camera shy. Yeah, exactly. EB knows what I'm saying. EB agrees. Dan, you are not camera shy. You may not be 100% comfortable in front of the camera, but you're certainly not camera shy. Exactly, Ali. If he's camera shy, you're chatty shy, and you, as far as I'm aware, you're still ranking number 1 at the moment for chats in my chat alone. Never mind anybody else's, which you do hold a few other number 1 spots, I believe. For instance, Doritos, Dan's own channel. You know, the guy who's camera shy, your number 1 spot in there. What is going on, How? You are now watching a very odd conversation between 3 different YouTubers. So, I am a model painter, as you can see. The Eclectic Beard does a variety of stuff, hence the name, the Eclectic Beard. It did do a lot of reactions, as did Arius in the Nation, who's also a YouTuber who does other forms of videos, mostly a lot now is music based. So we're three different YouTubers. And now we're having a conversation about how none of us can be camera shy, and Arius in the Nation is claiming to be camera shy. No, you've got over 100,000 subscribers. You put videos out practically every Monday day with your face on it. Can't be camera shy if you're doing that. Just doesn't work. So we're now trying to think of how many comparisons and analogies we could think of why Arius in the Nation is not camera shy. Anyone with less than 200 videos, I'll let them say the camera shy. But if you've got more than 200 videos, then not a cat in hell's chance are you getting away with that. Yeah, watch out, don't trip up. Don't trip up, EB. We know what that yard's like. Next thing we're hearing is a thunk bump as EB hits the deck and starts screaming because he forgot about that piece of rope he left there last week. Oh yeah, Graham. Howdy, mucker. Now, I know I've already been told, keep my eyes off the D&D dice. Even if I do think Sparkles would like them, I'm not allowed to buy them as a gift. She has a special D&D dice all of her own for her to use. Well, she has a special dice and a special set of dice. I don't know how to make a miniature. Well, it depends on your production. Because if you're good enough, you could craft it, create a mold, and just use the mold. Or you could use things, use modelling software, create it in that, create an STL, print it. So there are a couple of methods just to get the base model out there. Depends which one you're more comfortable with. I'm not very good at sculpting in either format. I'm just aware of them. But yeah, as Ali said, feel free to join the Discord. If you pose that question to the entire Discord, there's about 20 odd people in there. So, but saying that, one of them, at least that I can think of off the top of my head, may be able to help you with your questions. And that will be Joe, I believe. Joe should be able to help you with your questions. He's done a bit of 3D sculpting on... Oh, what was he used? Oh. So, yeah, the Nomad Sculpt is one of them. Thank you, Graham. There's the slicing tool, and I can't remember what it's called, that you can edit and change already existing ones, and a lot of people use it, and it's a very popular name. And why has it gone out of my head apart from the fact that I'm stupid? What's it called? No worries, no worries. What's it called? Blender! That's it called. It's called Blender. Blender's supposed to be pretty good for creating. Like, it's supposed to be a little bit like Google SketchUp, but with more options and better capability of the software. The last time I used any 3D software properly, it was 3ds Max. If anyone's aware of that program, it's like, wow, lads, you're talking like decades ago. Like, yeah, I am. I'm talking decades ago. For my last foray into that side. I did manage to make the Final Fantasy VIII Ragnarok though. Yeah, Blender's slightly more professional than some of the others. I'm aware of that. But if you can learn in Blender, then you got it cracked. I know it's a lot of it is shortcuts and knowing how to manipulate planes and vertices, but there are a few tutorials on YouTube that will tell you how to do that. Yeah, pop it up in either works in progress or is this Discord link working? I don't know if the Discord link's working. I believe we tested it last time and it was. Let's go check my channel. I should be live. Thank you. And there should be... There's Patreon Discord server. Are you sure you want to leave go to site? Yeah, and that just takes me straight to my... Yeah, so the Discord link is working. Just give it a quick check myself. Hello Miami Fred, hello Tony Jack, hello Knuckleade, hello Kitty Ears. And I think I'm looking at the wrong bloody thing. Yep, I am. I'm saying hello to a lot of people that aren't even in my stream. Graham, put the link in Discord, it'll make it easier. Other people's channels and interesting stuff, pop it in there. And then we can link it. Although in fairness, I could probably go get it because it's the one with... Is it the one with the Space Bear tutorial now? Because if it is, I can go get that quite easily. I do have Discord though on its little not allowed to chat to me thing because I'm streaming. Go find Rogues Den Hobbies. Right, now that I've found Rogues Den Hobbies, we look for painting guides. And then we look for the MapQuest Space Bear painting guide. And then we scroll all the way down and find the YouTube video. And we'll click on that and then we'll watch on YouTube please. And then we have Rogues Den Hobbies, which I am subscribed to. And we copy that. And then we'll go try and find my stream again. This is fun, isn't it? This is the advantage of being a pretty much... Paint Minis Live is in. Bill, you're in the portrait mode. How you doing, man? I'm just popping that into there. And I'll be back over to yours in a minute. And I'm going to pop another link into there. But nice to see you, man. How you doing? How are you doing? Not too much over here at the moment. Not too much, to be quite honest, Bill. We're still working through. That's the Rogues Den Hobbies, yeah. Yeah, that's the one. Whew. Took me a while. It is interesting to do this. Right, close my stream, otherwise I ended up with stuff. What do you mean I know your website far too well? Sparkles is agreeing with you. No, I just know how to get to it. If I go to Discord and I go into your website and then go to the painting tutorial section and scroll down, it takes me to the frigging YouTube channel. I've got common sense, Graham. That's the thing. I can figure this stuff out. And see, I caught myself then, Buzzard. Are you proud of me? I hope so. But yeah, you've got the Makwa Bears, you've got the Space Dwarfs, you've got the Angels, you've got the Venetians, you've got the Rat People, you've got the Undead, you have the Native Indians, you have... you've got lots of stuff to choose from on Rogues Den Hobbies, including the sets of dice. No, you've got your EMT stuff on at the moment. That is some... Yeah, good luck. Cheers, good luck, and hopefully you pull through it. The AMT stuff is hard. Because you've got to try and train you for a load of things that you don't actually know whether or not you're ever going to use it. So, yeah. You get to learn how to do all sorts of weird medical stuff, and it's just sat there in the back of your head now, not having a clue what to do. Until that one day that one person tripped over a power line. And then, done. No worries, how. If you did click on the Discord and you have joined, I do have a work in progress section in there, and it's not just for painting models; it's for any work that you're doing. And you've joined, excellent. So any questions, pop them in, and if anyone can help, we will. It's quite a nice small community that I'm slowly building here, which I'm very happy about. I didn't want to be a massive YouTuber with a load of subscribers that I don't know. But I'm glad that I can build it slowly and actually get to know you all. And then as you come in, we all get to grow and it develops as one. I know it all sounds all nice and homely, and it's not. I don't know if it's going to work, but that's my theory behind it anyway. That's my plan. And if it does work, then awesome. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. I've not lost anything, and nobody else has either. Yes, I will hopefully be live when. I'm going to take that as you've not jinxed me, Ali. You've pressured them into getting it right. I hope I'm going to be live on Wednesday. I've only missed 2 out of all 50, however many. Over a year now, put it that way. But I have missed 2 issues. Now, neither one of them were my actual fault. It was either them not sending the magazine through or some greasy little rodent come in there and swiped it off the area that he's not supposed to go in or touch and put it through on the self-serve. If you ever find out who that is, you do realise I am coming for my Wraith Knight. Yeah, I hope to be live Wednesday morning. The week after, I believe it is, I may not be, due to a few personal details. But I will still pick up the magazine, I'll just cover it Thursday morning instead on that week. So there is another week where you get a day of double streams, one in the morning, one in the evening, which will be Thursday. I'm hoping that I'm in a condition to do it on Thursday. Because let's face it, I'm going to a place where I may have a small amount of alcohol. But even a small amount of alcohol is enough for me to be able to not function the next day because I'm old now. And I don't drink much. So, yeah. That could be fun. I am getting to meet a lot of Sparkle's family, so yay. I'm right. So that's 3. I mean, you can see that there is differences between once you've painted the Yeah, brass and then leaving it white. There is a difference there. The bigger difference comes when I get the actual world dealers out. No worries, Bill. Thank you for dropping in, man, and good luck with your EMT training, which hopefully will be passed with flying colours. So that's 3. Who do I want to work on next? Now I have Big Sergeant Guy or I have Chain Fist Guy. Each one have their own pain in the backside bits. The shoulder pad on the champion with the big horn section is not the easiest. And with the way his knee pads are laid out, don't make it fun either. But then again, he's got that great big whopping chain fist, which isn't easy. And he's got another skull on that shoulder pad, which is not quite as difficult as that one. We'll leave the sergeant to last. That's what we'll do. We'll leave the sergeant to last. 2 shoulder pads done mostly first, so we'll use up all the brass paint that we have on the wet palette before we go for the slight break that I usually take. What's best, rounded edge, sharp, or chamfered? I'm assuming you're talking about paintbrushes, Graham. And that depends on what I'm doing. If it's a large area, so if I'm painting inside the shoulder pad section where I've done red there, I would prefer a chamfered brush. If I'm doing most other things, I prefer rounded tip brushes. But you can still get sharp rounded tip brushes, which is ideally what I'll go for if I could ever actually find something that wasn't stupidly overpriced for a single brush. Especially because of the way I treat them, I don't particularly want to pay too much for them. It's not a fun thing, to say the least. I forgot to tell how to read the rules. And don't anyone laugh at me. Oh, for dice. Rounded. Do not like chamfered edges. Nope. They can land on those. And I've seen it happen, so nope, don't like chamfered edges. Square and sharp edges can damage dice trays and stuff, so I don't like them. So it's rounded edges when it comes to dice. Oh, you know how you like it. Look, you said what's best, rounded edged, sharp, or chamfered. They can all be interpreted into brush types. And as I'm painting, that's the first thing that's got to come into my head. For dice, though, yeah, rounded edges. No damage of very little damage to any dice trays. They roll easier because they're not getting stuck on the chamfered edges or the sharp edges snagging. And it causes less damage, especially if you've got to roll multiple at once. But definitely round when it comes to dice. I mean, my dice have very, very just slightly rounded edges. It's just to stop them from being sharp. But my zinc dice do have quite sharp edges. It's not my preferred method, but then again, they're semi-ammunition as well as dice anyway, because if I stick them in a slingshot and whack you in the head with it, it's gonna do some damage. Especially that D4. Oh, it's just a metal pyramid. And D4 is going to certainly do some damage. Have I missed anything? Nope, I'm okay. Last thing to do was Ali and Bill. I'm keeping up alright. We chat to a degree, for once. That doesn't mean that everyone can start just going blah 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 and just bombard me with messages, so I can't keep up. That's just cruel. And I know how amusing it would be to watch my little head pickle as you all do it. And there's not really much I can do to stop you apart from ask. But yeah. I'm doing alright so far. Please don't ruin it for me. Not this often I do this well. I'm keeping up with chats. Especially when I'm not physically part of the chat. Which I know technically I am part of the chat because, well, the chat wouldn't be happening without me being here. But I'm not an active part with sat with a keyboard in front of me typing and chatting. I have the bonus of being able to verbally do it while I'm concentrating on something else. Still don't get home doing it that way either. So don't ask how do you concentrate better when you have to multitask, but you can't concentrate when you have a single task and you're a bloke. Don't ask. If anything about me ever makes sense, then run. Run away and run away fast. This is the bit that's, as I said, that's why I prefer rounded ones. When they clank together, there's less chance of them doing damage than the sharp edge ones, and the chamfered ones can actually land on that strange little edge. As daft as it sounds, they can land on it, which would obviously turn it into a cocked dice, have to re-roll. But the more the odds are in the favour of it happening, the more chance it's got of happening. So if you can reduce that, so it's not happening as often, then yeah, it should work better. Especially if you're talking about the D&D dice, because some of them are like 12 sides, 20 sides, 20 sided. Chamfered edges on the D20 is going to be difficult because of how small the actual faces are. And so Sparkles has got around that by just having a singular dice on each side is a separate spinny thing. It's not technically a dice, it's more of a fidget spinnery style, but you can get random numbers. You can manipulate it if you're good enough. I am not. Before anyone thinks, yeah, you're going to use that to do that. No, I'm not good enough to do that. But if you're one of them people who can just stop things that are spinning really fast wherever you want them, then yeah, this dice is just not 20, not 20, not 20 every time. If you're not and you're incredibly unlucky like me, you're pretty much stopping it on 7 or on the line, so you have to spin again. Which isn't too bad if you're playing something like Rogue with reliable talent where you can't roll less than a 10. Then with all your buffs and everything, you're guaranteed for a 20 overall every time. But if you're just a normal player, fighter, wizard, something that doesn't have that reliability for dice rolls, then no, you're suffering. If you roll a 7, you get a 7. I mean, the odds are supposed to be relatively even for you to get each number. You've got a 1 in 20. But it doesn't work like that. Anyone who's played knows it doesn't work like that. You have a 50-50 chance of you have a 50% chance of getting a nat 20 or a nat 1, and a 50% chance of getting anything from 2 to 19. And players understand that. Half of the time they're going to be rolling nat 20s and nat 1s. The rest of the time they're going to be getting average scores. I've rolled enough nat 1s. I'm due some nat 20s. Oh, so you tried and failed to. You throw them in with my zinc dice. They'll get damaged. I can't roll. I can't roll anything with my zinc dice because they just smashed them out of the way and dent them up. Sparkles has a set of metal dice and as well as her big spinny one. So that's not too bad. She has 2 metal dice, so they're not going to mash each other up because one doesn't get rolled, one gets spun. And the other set gets rolled, so any advantage or disadvantage rolls, no damage get diced. No damage get diced, no dice get damaged. But if I was to give them to Mini Laz and say, stick them in your Hot Wheels launchers, the metal dice go smash. Welcome back, Ali. So yeah, you need to try it with a few various other types of dice, not just yours. Because people have lots of dice. You get dice goblins. You know what dice goblin is. Come on. They've got 4 copies of every type of dice that's ever been made since the dawn of time. They've even got the stupid spiky ones. You know, the ones that no one can ever actually pick up and use because they actually hurt you. They've even got full sets of them. Dice goblins. Almost as bad as book goblins, aren't they? Almost. Not quite, though. Not quite as bad as book goblins, but nearly. I'm still going to need more brass. So put a nice little slug on it. A slug's probably not the best word to use to describe that. Oh, it is what it is now. Tiny little bit more on my brush and let's carry on. Because that didn't coat well. It could be worse. I could be doing gilding, which would require masks and alcohol and God knows what else just to. Now, could someone correct me? Is it Joe who's working on the game, isn't it? Silvers is doing all the nurgly stuff. Just I don't want to get it wrong, and I've got a feeling I have, which is not nice. Especially because I do pay attention. It's just I'm crap with names. So when you tell me you're doing something, it does go in and I do remember. It's just the morning after I'm trying to remember who's doing that piece. Now Francois working on Eldar Titans. Know that one. Twisted, you're working on your Space Marine at the moment, I think. Graham, you're just up to your neck in resin. I'm pretty sure it's Joe who's working on the Armada style game, so you're using ship-to-ship warfare. Pretty sure it's Joe, but I can't remember. I'm going to have to go back into voice chat, aren't I, and get people to come in and talk again. I do need to do that more often, in fairness. If I start doing it too often, then it kind of defeats the point of my Patreon bonus. Although if I do it in the standard chat, then obviously other people can come in. And the Patreon bonus is it is a 1-to-1 with me, no interruption, no other people coming in unless it's part of my house or part of your house. That's the only things that I can't really stop, because I'll be doing it in my living room. I'm not sure where anybody else would be doing theirs. I've just broken one of my little rules. I just done live begging. Sorry, people. Sorry. If you're hitting the unsubscribe, I understand. I've just been e-begging, and I don't like e-begging. Well, now that I've done it, all the links are down below. Click whichever one you want. Don't have to click any if you don't want to. Okay, so I'm going to finish this guy and then pop my break screen up. So those of you on the portrait cam, you will still be able to see me until I stand up and leave to go do the little break things like put the kettle on, get my cup with me, get my tablets, blah 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 blah. Stuff that usually happens on most streams, so please stick around. Once I pull it on, there will be my usual break screen on, which, as you've all been hearing, we have Graham from Rogues Den Hobbies in here. It will be advertising his website along with a discount code. So if you do find anything you like on there, please use my discount code. It will save you some money. I don't think I actually get anything from it. Apart from, cheers mate, here's the next set of things that I want you to, that I'm throwing at you because I want you to try them. Oh, okay. I am the guinea pig. I am the guinea pig, so it should be fun. Right, I should be back soon. Fresh cup of tea, doing my tablets, and yeah, that should be fun. So enjoy yourself. If you need a break, please go ahead and do it now. Oh, you don't have to, but if I'm going for a break, you might as well go for a break, son. And we'll see you soon. does help if I have everything working, doesn't it? Hello, everybody. I'm back, and have a good night, Ali. Thank you very much for coming in, and I'll speak to you again. And I get 10. I don't find that out until somebody actually uses it, so I didn't know that background. And I always forget because, as much as I advertise it, nobody seems to go use it. Please go have a look at Rogues and Hobbies. They do good stuff. They do really good stuff, especially if you like D&D. D&D, they have lots of characters and NPC available, and big dragon. I want big dragon. Not allowed to have big dragon, but I want big dragon. Big dragon's got a 14-inch wingspan. Good night, Ali. Oh, a nice hot brew. All nice, and I'm freezing, by the way, which is why I'm now wearing a hoodie. I'm cold, which doesn't help at all. Especially when you're trying to keep your hands bloody steady. So how has everyone's weekend been so far? Anyone had any good games? Anyone started any new collections? You know, Twisted has got quite a way through his Space Marine. Now adding additional lights to it. Francois is slowly churning the way through the Phantom Titan, which is a heck of a model. It's absolutely huge and spindly. I must admit, if I was going to attack something that big, I would be tempted to do it all with the airbrush. All of it with the airbrush. Which I'm tempted to attempt to do with the Stomper, but I've got to fix its arm first before I can try that. Which is why for ORKtober I'll be doing Glasgow, because he's a complete model now. I don't know if Sparkles can see that, but Ali said goodnight. Sparkles is in the portrait mode, by the way, if anyone's wondering. The boss is in there. That's the one more than any you've got to behave in. Because I might not even see it. He's that quick on there. Yeah. No messing about. Won't even be a word spoken. I mean, you have to behave yourself in the other one as well. It takes me longer to get over there. But not by a great deal. As Graham found out with the speed that I managed to link his website up onto it. I had to go through a few extra stages to get that one done. Go get the YouTube channel. Well, go find the website, go find the YouTube channel, and then link it. So he's pretty quick. You kind of get to be once you 4 years of having to not do it all yourself, because obviously I have moderators and they help me considerably within the chats. You forgot to set off the next competition. The next competition. What is the next competition actually? Is it the autumn or is it the winter comp? Remember. I know I've only ever won one, and that's because it was pretty much just me who entered. Whenever somebody else enters, they usually do a better job than me and they win. Although if this time it's kit bash stuff, I might stand a chance. Pardon me? I say I might stand a chance. If it's kit bash stuff and I can get Lasgow painted, then yeah, I might stand a chance. If it's not, then I'm going to have to dig out a model that I've not already painted or don't already have plans for. Well, there was 3 entries and the winner won by 1 vote and the other 2 had 3. Well, yeah, the winner had 4 votes and the other 2 had 3. So although yes, I might have been close, and close isn't winning though, is it? Close is not winning. And you know I would like that little voucher. You know I'd like that little voucher. That voucher will be used almost immediately. I want that. Or I'd save it up in case I win another one and spend them both at the same time and get my dragon. Dragons. I don't own a dragon, a big dragon. But I own an ickle dragon. That's metal and rubber. And doesn't like to be stripped of paint. So repainting it is going to be a pain in the rear end because I don't want it to be a red dragon. And it comes as a red dragon. Whereas the one from you, the big Tiamat dragon, that comes in grey. I can do whatever colour I want. No stripping. No removing paints. Just glue together and off you go. Well, wash it first to make sure all residues and everything's properly removed. Do proper care for the model. But once you've done that, yeah, you're off. Now, if anyone's thinking, oh, he only ships to the UK, nope. He'll ship most places. Obviously, the further away from the UK you are, the bigger difference delivery might be, but that kind of goes without saying for that, really, doesn't it? The further away from somewhere you are, the more it costs to get it sent to you. Obviously, the size of whatever you're ordering changes that as well. So, just bear those in mind. Now, if you're thinking, I want to try and minimise the amount of postage I'm paying, then actually make it a bigger order. Get the stuff that you want and the stuff that you want for after it. That way you can just pay one lot of postage. Because until you go up in size and weight dramatically, it's not that much difference. So if you was going to order one little set of characters, you might as well order 3. And then you're ready for when you've done that set, you can move on to the next. Well, it's entirely up to you, man. It's your painting competition, but I just happen to know what model I'm starting next week. So, yeah. Next week I'm starting this chappie. So, yeah. If it's a kit bash model, I'm fine. I've got kit bash models. If it's not a kit bash, I mean, I do have other models. And models that I not specifically chose colour schemes for, like this little Chaos Marine wielding 2 daggers. don't particularly have a colour scheme for him or anything particular I want to do with him. Same with the Chaos Marine with the Reaper Auto, not Reaper Auto Cannon, the minigun thing. I don't particularly have any plans for him either, so it doesn't have to be kit bash. I do have models that I can paint, but I just know I happen to be painting a kit bash model over the next few weeks on Models and Musings. For ORKtober, it is going to be my Warlord. Now that I've looked at him, I've realised just how much stuff I've put on him and that I'm going to have to paint. The answer to that is too bloody much for lazy mini painting. I mean, Chaos is bad enough for trim. Chaos alone is bad enough for trim. He's just going to be ridiculous because the amount of little bits all over it. Because obviously I had to cover up the Nemesis Dreadnought armour and make it look like it had been hodgepodged together by a mech. Which is a whole different ballgame to just putting a model together. I'm trying to put it together like a creature that you can't comprehend. Yeah, it becomes a bit more difficult endeavour. We're trying to think like a big mech. Or just a mech in general. It's not easy. Especially when you've got to make it look semi-functional but not functional. But you know it's going to be functional because of the Ork's method of manipulating the warp. You know it is going to work. So it has to kind of look like it would, but only if an Ork's using it. Does that make sense to anyone else? Or is it just me, and in which case I'm scared if it's just me? Because that means I'm waffling complete and utter crap. And nobody knows what I'm on about. I know that doesn't necessarily change a lot of my streams. I do waffle a lot of crap, and a lot of people probably think, what's he on about? He's chatting again. But yeah, I do have to talk though. It'd be very boring if I was just sat here doing nothing at all. Except for painting, not even explaining to you the fact that I'm doing brass for what army or give you no information whatsoever. It's just not good, is it? Not good. So I do have to talk, but sometimes my talking just ends up into rambling. Or ranting. Quite like a nice rant. And a moan. I like moaning as well. And I don't mean that type of moaning, I mean the British type of complaining moaning. And if you don't know what that is, just find some British person when it's raining. Any British person will do when it's raining. I know, boy, will you hear them complain about all sorts of stuff. Not just the weather, everything. The weather just brings it out. Really awkward bits to get on here. Especially these spiky bits on top. I'm not too keen on these. Like the iron halo, but it's built in. Not the easiest to get neatly to. That's when you've got a brush that just will not stay straight. That's frustrating. It is. It's very frustrating. So I'm going to have to find out. I'm going to have to go look in Discord in a minute, aren't I? Find out what's going on. How many people are going to complain about my suggestion? I've gone, we can't kit bash or modify. Although looking at Graham's Discord, there's a lot of people who can kit bash and modify, so he should be alright. And obviously, any of you that have also joined as well, feel free to enter. It's a free competition. More bragging rights than anything else for a couple of months, but you do end up getting a voucher for the store as well, though, so you do get something for it, but there's no like entry fees or anything like that. It is a fun competition. And despite the fact that there are some very, very good painters on that Discord server, as Graham said, even though I'm far from one of the best, just doing a good enough model will sometimes get you the votes. And I think I put the Zinch Sorceress up for the last entry because it was pinky purpley colours, I think was the last brief for the competition. Obviously I had the nice pink Zinch Sorceress, so I entered her into the competition and she got second, or joint second, but still second. As Graham said, it was close. There was only one vote in it, which is really annoying because I voted for the winner because I can't vote for myself, and the winner won by one vote. So it would have been a complete draw had I not voted. But apart from mine, theirs was the best model, so I voted for it. Well, theirs was better than mine, so I still voted for it. A lot of work went into that model. And you could tell. Yep. I mean, there's a lot of things that can contribute to it. If you, as I said, if you get the colours right and you get on the right type of model, and somebody could have spent 200 hours on theirs and you spent 40 minutes on yours, but you've got the colours right and you've got the shades right and you've done it properly, even though it's only took you 40 minutes. But Graham, there are some very good painters on your server, and you know this. So let's not sugarcoat it for people. There are good painters on there, but it is possible to get the votes because it is all voted for by. Well, it's narrowed down by Graham. Yeah, right person won. No, Graham normally narrows it down to about 3. So if there is a lot in there, he'll narrow it down to 3, and then those 3 get to pick. Well, everyone else gets to pick between those 3 which one they think's the best. And as Graham said, he gets the deciding vote, and yeah, rightly so. The right person won this time. Because very good job, very good job. I'm just having a quick nip into Discord for a moment because I believe things have been going off on my server, such as saying hello to Hal and oh, okay, right, all right. Fair enough. We can go from there. We can go from there. That's not too bad. House gives us a decent starting off point in design. Enough there to show us what the intent is, and enough there for us to work from. And as they're hoping, hopefully improve upon. So if anyone's feeling particularly adventurous with either a pen and paper, a tablet and stylus, or 3D creating software, fair few things for you to crack on with if you want to have a look. Especially if you're not quite into this side of the hobby, mostly the modelling side and painting. But if you're particularly skilled with a pen and paper, unlike me, then yeah, there are some nice things that House put up to give you inspiration to work upon. I may even consider it myself as well. Of course, a few small caveats. If you are putting work up for somebody else to use, please make sure you're either being compensated or at least mentioned as the artist. If anyone else does want to hire you for a commission because they like the work that you've done on theirs, they can contact you and you can potentially earn money from it as a job. If you're skilled, you should always get paid for it. If you've got a skill, you should always get paid for it. Especially when people wish to use said skills and abilities. A lot of brass still to do, and then we've got a fair chunk of ivories and browns. A fair chunk of ivories and browns for the crotch cloths and things, and chain mails, and lots of different bits. Ooh-wee. He's a big old boy, is this one, isn't he? He is a big old boy. I mean, not as big as some models that I've had and painted, but considering he's just a big infantry, he's a big boy. And granted, he's supposed to be the equivalent of Lazarus. Lazarus stands like yay big compared to him, like 3 times the size of him. And he's supposed to be some kind of equivalent to it. Or at least to a like a Redemptor Dreadnought, or it's the Chaos equivalent there. Let's face it, there is a huge difference on the tabletop between what this looks like and what a Redemptor Dreadnought looks like, or a Brutalis Dreadnought. Just so different, so different. But this is Firstborn style Dreadnought chassis, not Rubicon Primaris Dreadnought chassis, which burns through the Space Marine that's inside way too quick. Or way quicker than this sarcophagus will anyway. Although this sarcophagus doesn't actually burn through the Space Marine, he's now been blessed by, well, this one's Khan. So he'll probably live for a very long time in this raging sarcophagus. But the Space Marines that go into the Redemptor Dreadnought or the Brutalis Dreadnought or the Ballistus Dreadnought, no, their days is numbered. Very much numbered. Gonna be too much on the body, too much on the mind. You'll be lucky if you last a century. I know it seems like a long time, but for a space marine, not really. A couple of space marines have been there for like 1,000 odd years, so not exactly the longest time. And to be burnt out that quickly, you've got dreadnoughts that have lasted, well, the very particular one for the Space Wolves was around when the Emperor was walking, so that's 10,000 years. And he's still cracking about as he's Bjorn. Is it Bjorn the Fell-Handed? Yeah, I think he's Bjorn the Fell-Handed. I would need a more lore accurate Space Wolf collector to make sure I get that one right. I know they've got Murderfang as well, which is just a dreadnought with 2 giant lightning claws, which in itself sounds cool, but he's not the 10,000-year-old one. He was rather gutted because he got left behind when Russ went into the warp. So all his brothers buggered off to go follow his Primarch into the warp to go look for the Tree of Life. He got stuck behind looking after the kids. All the initiates and the younger Space Marines. But essentially he got left behind looking after the kids. And he's been looking after them ever bloody since. They still come waking up going, oh, we can't figure out what do we do at this bit. You should crush them in the name of the Emperor. Why did we not think of that? What it boils down to pretty much every Loyalist Space Marines chapter is crush them in the name of the Emperor. All the Chaos factions are kill and destroy in the name of the Chaos Gods. And every little Xenos faction has their own little motives and ideas of why they're doing stuff. Eldar are going extinct. They don't want to go extinct. They are going kicking and screaming all the way. Orcs just want to fight. Orcs are the football hooligans. They're happy as long as they've got something to stick a chopper in. Not like that. Don't laugh, you filthy mind. And obviously Tyranids are just out for a very good meal. Wherever they can find it. The Tau should just sit in a corner and hope no one else notices them. That's what Tau should do. Sit in a corner and just hope nobody notices. Because if anyone does, they're just going to go off and get wiped out, let's face it. If they became that much of an alliance and the Imperium decided, no, we need to get rid, they're just going to go and take them all out. 3 chapters of Space Marines, 2 armadas of Imperial soldiers, 2 full flotillas of battle barges and frigates, and yeah, they'll just walk and go shoot and blow the way through the entire 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd and 1st sphere expansions before they finally get to the Tau homeworld and go pop from orbit, because they're just not gonna waste any more time from there. And I know these people can, but the Tau are so technologically advanced, and the Tau can do this, and the Tau can do that, and the Tau can not throw anywhere near the numbers that the Imperium can at them. And it doesn't matter how technologically advanced they are, if you can only shoot 6 shots and there's 20 guys running at you, that means that you've missed 14 of them and they've got to you. And Tau don't like close combat unless you're Farsight, and he's using a bloody cursed blade anyway to steal the life of anything that he happens to defeat in close combat with that sword. So he's a bit of an anomaly. But a couple of decent precision shots from bolt snipers and Farsight's gone. So that's not a worry. It's like, we got Aeon Var and Shadow Sun, and yeah, we got Aeon Var. You got Aeon Var and Shadow Sun. Aeon Var just makes everybody else angry when he's not there. They just leave him until you've taken everything else out. And Shadow Sun, as soon as she pops her head out, you pop it. She may be in a stealth suit, but if she wants to do anything shooty wise, she's gonna have to pop her head out. And when she pops her head out, you shoot her. Or if not, you go hunt her down through the ruins and then do it. Not impossible to get rid of Shadow Sun. And then from there it's just the Riptides and the Storm Surges, but well, that's what you got your Dreadnoughts for, and your Terminators. You drop your Terminators right down next to the damn thing, it's gonna have to target them. It's not gonna have a choice no matter. With them having a 4+ invul, and if you drop a couple of units down, then you can't take them all out. So somebody's getting a charge next turn, or even this turn. And then nice big monster robot thing locks in close combat. Hopefully getting beaten up by hammers. Or giant robot power fists. One of the two. I'd prefer it to be hammers though, because it means I can teleport them in closer. Because he can probably take out the big dreadnoughts quite easily. It's just the infantry you can't take out, because a single D6 shot will take 6 wounds off a dreadnought, but it'll only pop 1 Terminator. And if you've got, obviously, if you've got a unit of 10 of them and you can only pop 1, well, that's 9 still running at you. And I said they've all got thunder hammers, so yay. Or lightning claws, which I've not finished doing the lightning claw ones yet. They're going to be the converted Grey Knights. And they're going to be equipped with falchions as opposed to actual lightning claws. But just close enough. Those are the dice, right? Okay, so Graham's still not updated the overall competition, but he has updated his dice on there. Joe! Your ears must have been burning, dude. Your ears must have been burning. Can you clarify something for me? You are working on a game at the moment, aren't you? And I've not just told somebody the completely wrong person. Because we have had another new member to the Lazy Mini Painting pot rack, I'm going to call it. If you do join Discord, you become the Ivory Despot, which you know I can't live without my ivory. If I have to do a model without my ivory, I'm not doing the model. It is that bloody simple. I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy my ivory first, so I can do my setups. Ah, so you are the right. Okay, it's just that somebody was asking, do any of us know how to do design or make characters or things? And it's like, well, some of us can kind of draw, but if you're wanting 3D stuff, although no one's here at the moment, we do have one or two people that can do it. And of course, you sprang to mind first thing because you're doing it yourself for your ships. Now, if you do look in the work in progress and you find the pictures from how, um, they are not overly complex and detailed, but they give you enough to go off to go, right, I can see where they're trying to go, so let's, if we can help, we can push it in that direction. No worries, Graham. You have a good night, mate. Oh. No worries, man. You go get some sleep and put that out of your mind for the night. Come back to it tomorrow when you've got the correct, no, fuck you attitude. Maybe that's not the best attitude to have, but you know what I mean. When you come back, when you've got a better frame of mind for it. And not be sat here at 25 to 12 at night going, no, I'm not, no, too tired, not enough caffeine, go away. Makes sense. Well, good night, mate. You have a good one. Obviously, you do need to keep on the good side for certain reasons. I need to start looking at things for that date as well. Ugh. I mean, it's over a year away, but still, gotta start looking. Gotta start looking. For anyone else out there thinking that they've got no chance and they've been looking for someone for ages and they can't find anyone, just bear this in mind. This ugly fucker is getting married. You have a chance. I'm getting head shakes for that. Apparently, I'm not ugly. I've seen a mirror. I'm also my own worst critic, so. And she has to say I'm not ugly anyway. She's the one marrying me. She's certainly marrying me for my money, let's put it that way. I've either got the greatest sense of humour in the world, or she sees something that I don't. I think I have a good sense of humour. I know I get a lot of head shakes a lot, but still, I think I've got a good sense of humour. It's when that sense of humour comes out to play, I think, is the inappropriate part. Because it comes out to play when it shouldn't. You know, like in the middle of shopping. When you're not supposed to blurt certain things out. Well, brain doesn't think sometimes and mouth just activates. So. It's fun. Yeah, it's all fun and games, really. It is. Yeah, I was making a big from the white side to the brass side. That is quite a large difference. Definitely a good idea to get the brass done now, and then I can tone it in with the red better. I can stick a red wash to get the darker sections around the edges, or come back in with the corn red just to clean up all the gold sections that I've overspilled. Not gold, brass sections that I've overspilled. Don't use gold for World Eaters, you use brass. They have the brass Scorpion, they have a lot of skull. They have a lot of brass units with the World Eaters. Brass Scorpion is a Forge World model though, that isn't in the standard codex. So be careful with that one. Fantastic model, just not a standard unit, which I'm a little bit ashamed about. They don't even get access to the Helldrake properly. They could have at least given the Brass Scorpion. Still get a lot of skulls, which is essentially a Baneblade with a giant humanoid torso on it. So not only can it shoot you with a giant cannon, it can hit you with a big axe. But that's a lot of skulls, and he's just stupid points. It's like half an army or a full army on his own, depending what point value he's playing at. I know he's damn near 1,000 points. Or at least he was last time I looked. I'd have to go and have a look again. But no, I'm not converting my Baneblade, in case anyone's thinking, are you going to convert your Baneblade then? No. My Baneblade, blah, 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 blah. My big Baneblade can stay with the Imperial Guard army because they need something to fend off Primarchs and Stompers and giant orcs and things, and just deal mass damage to Space Marine. Pretty much the only big gun they've got. They may have got 7 Lehman Russes, but it's their main big gun for the Imperial Guard army is the Baneblade. A lot of points to stick into for one model, but that one model can do a lot. Especially if it focuses fire on something like a Redemptor or a Brutalis Dreadnought or the Stomp. It can take the Stomper off the board in one turn of shooting. So it can pretty much pick its unit, and if it rolls right, it's gone. But if he wants to split his fire, then it's not guaranteed to get rid of a unit. It's splitting its anti-infantry or low power infantry and its high power tank shots is one thing. But splitting it all over various different targets, that's a bad idea. Because as soon as that first one doesn't do what you want it to do, the plan's gone then. Because there's a unit that survived that you was planning on killing. If you can take it out with other vehicles later on, that's a different matter, but really you want to be target, took out, target, took out. Systematically work your way through their forces from what's the biggest threat down to what you can afford to leave. And obviously the biggest threat in most of my armies is the biggest unit. Except for the Space Marines. Well, that's because I'm very, very heavily infantry driven on Space Marines. Ridiculously infantry driven. I don't think there's many that I can't field at least one unit of. Not many. I mean, I can't do Centurion Devastators and Assault Centurions at the same time because I built mine as Centurion Devastators. But you can put Centurion armor on the battlefield. Same as you can put damn near 40 Terminators out there. Well over 200 Mark 10 armors. How many is it? 9 of them, 6 of them, 5 of them. So there's a fair few Gravis armor as well. And then what is essentially the Vanguard set for the Space Marines. What was the old Combat Patrol? But Now they took the Impulsor out of it, and the Lieutenant out of it, and the Librarian in Phobos armor out of it. It's not as good value. But I managed to get it just before it went out of print. So I got the Librarian and the Lieutenant. And I also got the Impulsor. No, it's the Impulsor, not the Repulsor. So it's the little one. So I now have one of them proper, and I have one of them proxied. So I can fill 2 Impulsors and a Repulsor, and a Land Raider, and Storm Raven. I said I didn't have many vehicles, didn't I? Well, I do have a few, but when it comes to counting my vehicles compared to and pairing them up with associated infantry, yeah, I don't have enough. Northern, how are you doing, man? How are you doing? Glad you could come in and catch us. It's not heresy, I just don't have a lot of vehicles. I mean, I've got one of each of the, well, I've got the Redemptor and a Ballistus, which are the actual models. And Lavarus, which is my proxy Brutalis, which is just way too big. But Rule of Cool wins out on that one, and it looks cool as hell, and nobody's going to argue with, this is a big dreadnought that comes running at you with 2 melee claws. Like, nope, I can see them big claws, and I can see it's big dreadnought. So I do have vehicles. It's not that I don't have vehicles, just I don't have many. And yes, it is Heresy tonight while we're painting World Eaters. But next week it's Orks for about 4 or 5 weeks until we get out of October. And then as we head into November, I'm not sure what I should continue doing. But I have a lot of Space Marines to go back and redo, touch up, kit bash. I have a lot of Space Marine work to do, particularly from the Grey Knights. I need to get them ready to look like Terminators with dual short power weapons to act as lightning claws. Then I've also got to finish off the Terminators with the Thunderhammer and Storm Shields, which are the proxies that I got from Rogue's Den Hobbies. And oh boy, do they work absolutely well, especially if you like the Cataphractii style armour, because that's what it looks like. And these are the small guys. If you get the big guys, it's just even worse. They just tower above everything. Oh yeah, Daka. Well, I say Daka. He does have a gun that's mounted on his shoulder with a targeting squig and a Gretchen shooting it, even though it will shoot off the Ork ballistic skill. Those 3 Gretchen count as Makari. Although I may have to put another Gretchen on a base next to him just to really count as Makari, because you can kill him first. And that leaves Gazgul without his little 2+ invulnerable save. He needs to start stacking stuff on just to make sure he gets there. But I have little Makaris on his base. But the main thing about Lasgul Thwacker is his 2 hammers. Just to warrant him being an absolute beast in close combat. Because he is supposed to be an absolute beast in close combat. He's an Ork. Not only is an Ork, he's an Ork who's looted Nemesis Dreadnought armor. But obviously they didn't want all those puny human guns on there, they wanted Ork guns. So the mecha's refitted to have a shoulder mounted cannon that has lots of Daka. Not very accurate, but that's Orks for you. But it still has lots of Daka. And once I've done this brass, I might have a quick look at him to start deciding what colours I want to do. Because I still can't decide if I want to do blue, red, or yellow as my main army theme. Yellow would kind of make sense to go for Bad Moons or to go for something like Freebooters. But go for the richer ones because they're the ones who are going to have a chance to get Nemesis Dread Knight armor and have enough teeth to buy it and do it up without having to go Goths and rely on the, well, I'm part of Gaz's army and do that. Oh, awesome! If you've got lightning claws, man, that's excellent. And obviously, I know where the Trafford Centre is. I mean, anyone living in Greater Manchester knows where the bloody Trafford Centre is. But yeah, if you've got spare lightning claws that you genuinely don't wish to use or need, and you're willing to donate them to the channel, I will accept them willingly. And yeah, it's like pop over. I'll meet you wherever you're working. Obviously, that will be a direct message because we don't want to give a lot of your personal details out to people. Obviously, you know what I look like, so you'll be able to say, Lars, over here, and then I'll know where I'm going. And then your boss is probably going to wonder, who the fuck are you shouting? It's like, no, it's alright, it'll only be 5 minutes. And then you don't get shouted at, which we'd like to avoid. No miscommunications with the bosses, please. Yeah, trying to get lightning claws for Grey Knights, not the easiest. Which is why we're going to use the falchions. Just because they're shorter than standard power weapons. And it'll look closer to what I'm trying to accomplish, obviously making assault terminators with lightning claws. Now I think it's 15 standard terminators, 2 with assault cannons, and then a hell of a lot more without. I don't have any with cyclone missile launchers, which is a shame. But if I can find something small enough that looks like a missile launcher style thing, I will be popping it onto the shoulders of one, especially one of the smaller ones. So I do have that to look forward to. I just got to find the right piece to go on them. A little bit of sanding and a little bit of scraping to get rid of some of the very Grey Knight specific parts, because they are going to be part of a normal Space Marine chapter, not the Grey Knights. Just so happens that they're in Terminator armor. So yeah, it's 20 assault terminators, 10 with hammers, 10 without, and 15 standard terminators. So that's what, 35, not including the characters that go with them, which is a chaplain, 2 librarians, 2 captains, which puts up to the 40s. So a chaplain will go with the Thunderhammers. A librarian, the 2 librarians go with the assault cannon standard ones to give them sustained hits. And then 1 captain goes with the lightning claws and 1 captain goes with the other standard Terminator unit. Don't have an ancient. I might have to make myself a Terminator ancient if I can find the spare parts. I have banners, I just don't have an ancient. I have Terminator ancient. And I have 3 standard ancients as well as 2 blade guards. So I think I'll be able to nick one of the banners at least. Just look for the tall bearded bloke. Is that you talking about me, or you? I mean, I have had a shave, so I'm not quite as. Yeah, I've cut most of mine off, so I'm not as hairy as I sometimes look. But in fairness, that could be either one of us. Let's face it. Look for the hairy dude. Alright, I might be bald, but sometimes my face is hairy. And yes, I am bald, in case anyone was wondering. See? Shaved head. It does grow back a little bit, but not enough to warrant keeping. Ah, Becky Thump, Becky Thump, Becky Thump. But I dread to even look at my pile of shame because I know I've got rocket launchers because I got them from Rogue's Den, so I've got enough rocket launchers to make at least 10 of my intercessors or assault. Basically, whatever I think I've got 10 spare of, I can make them into Desolation Marines, which will give me the 2 missiles there. I've got 2 Devastator squads all loaded out with missiles. 2 of my tactical squads have las cannons, 2 have heavy bolters, and 2 have plasma cannons. And depending which heavy weapon they've got, depends which special weapon they've got. So if they've got the plasma cannons, then they get plasma guns. If they have the las cannons, then they get melter guns. And if they have heavy bolters, they get flamers. It's like, well, that sounds a bit weird. I know, but that's how I lay them. That's the layout I have for my tactical squads. But I have quite a few range stuff. What I'm missing is a lot of the close combat. So I was lucky enough to get the Thunder Hammers and, well, these shields, but without the big star on it. I've had to add them in myself from Chaos bits, just to stop them looking like the storm shields that my Terminators use. Because otherwise they would be the exact same, and I don't want that. 2 different armies. I don't want confusion. Help it. Well, that makes his shield stand out a lot more. I do need to paint that them shoulder pads in red though. Okie dokie. We am I done with brass? Am I genuinely no? Nope. I thought I was done with it then. Of course not. That would be silly, wouldn't it? For me to actually think I'd finished with the paint. We all know I'm going to have to come back to it with about 6 different layers after I've done other colours. So you did the heavy plasma cannon just to try and get that source light in, and then thought, nah, I've sod that. Nope. More hassle than it is worth. No thank you. Although I've got to say, look, after watching Twisted do all his progression through learning how to do light sources and light values, a lot of it's done early on. So it's done in your prep work more than what you're doing afterwards. Oh, it seems that way to me anyway. Twisted, feel free to correct me. No worries, Joe. You go enjoy your supper, and that's. Ooh, food. Do we have any food that I can eat right now? Yeah, I know we have lots of food, but we've got anything else? I'll just go. Okay. And I was feeling peckish while I was making my cup of tea and I went for the break. I was like, oh, I don't know what to get, I don't know what to get. There's nothing quick enough. And I don't want to sit there eating a bowl of cereal because then I look like a delinquent. I'm not saying I'm not a delinquent, I just don't want to advertise it. Hockey-diddles. Hockey-diddles. That is a lot of brass been done tonight so far in the space of 2.5 hours. What is next? What is next? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Fleshy bits, maybe? Rackout flesh, you'll do. No worries, Silvers. How you doing, man? Welcome in. You've been moving. You've been moving. I hope somewhere nice, and it's not just like next door or anything. I hope you've managed to move to an upgrade, and it wasn't too stressful when you did it. Because I know moving house can be stressful. Even just me moving from where I was living to moving in with Sparkles was a bit of an ordeal in and of itself, because I came with a lot of extra stuff and Sparkles didn't quite realise how much extra stuff I come with. And that's just got worse over the years because I've collected more. Sparkle was thinking maybe what, a TV, some clothes, maybe some DVDs and CDs and stuff. No. Laz turns up with hundreds and hundreds of little plastic models. And as I said, over the years, as we've been together, my collection has pretty much tripled. It has tripled. Not just doubled, it's tripled. Yeah, oh yeah, never underestimate the amount of stuff a nerd or a geek can accumulate. Never underestimate that. We don't like throwing things away. We keep everything. Including the little bits of offcuts that it's like, well, what are you going to use that for? I don't know, but if you ever find a reason, then I've got it, haven't I? And we work off that principle. And normal people will be like, no, throw it away. You don't need it. You're not going to use it. But I might use it in about 6 years when I get that idea to do that. We've just had that idea now. Yeah, but I'm working on all these at the minute, so I can't do that right now. So I've got to wait for a while so I can do that. And then when I can do that, that's when I'll use it. And that's how it goes. We all know this. We've just got to inform our partners so they understand and don't kick us out. Because we've just spent £300 on plastic. Which we do. We do spend large amounts of money on plastic. And to, sorry for the Sparkles, but to normies, they just don't understand. They don't. I mean, I'm lucky Sparkles is a bit of a D&D player. Not much of a D&D player. We're not talking full on. Like every week, she's arranged a new setting and a new session. Not that bad, but at least she understands what Dungeons and Dragons is, and she plays it, and she does enjoy when she does play. So I'm not completely left her in the dark with all that. But yeah, she wasn't aware of how big Warhammer was and how much you can collect within just one army, never mind starting second or third armies. Because I only had Space Marines and Orcs when we got together. And now I've got Space Marines, Orcs, Tyranids, World Eaters, Astra Militarum, Eldar. As I said, I've gone up considerably in what I have for my collection. Still got to paint them all yet though. Although half my guard army are, especially the tanks, they've had at least a base coat done. So they don't need too much work, but there's a lot of infantry that do. Now I have Cadian speed paint, so that should help a little bit there. But that also might be going through the airbrush just to clean up the tan coloured Lehman Russes, just so I can get the green stripe on them. Ah, the joys of painting and modelling. Painting all this with flesh tone, and then I can come back in with washes and silvers. Not silver scratch build productions, but with different shades of silver. Can't remember that when you're in there, certain words don't always go through the correct meaning, especially when I have people in the chat who I use that as their name as well. So silvers and silvers, this, yeah. I've never thought about using spruce as paint handles before. I mean, I use cork with a few little pins in and blue tack just to help me out, but I've never used sprue. Just melt it a little bit, stick it on the bottom of the base, and ka-ching, you've got a little stubby handle. Quite ingenious, actually, now I'll think about it. All things backwards has got him too happy I've grabbed the lighter out now and start melting plastic though. Doesn't like the smell of the burning plastic, she doesn't like the smell of the burning glue either. And that's how I clear the nozzle. I'll just burn my way through it. So we have lots of flesh tones done. Nobody else really has flesh tones, do they? No. Oh. What about these two little eyes here? I'm calling them eyes even though they look like something else. I'm not going down that road. I'm going to be a good person and not call them what they look like. All of you can go ahead and call them what they look like. See them two little things there? You can go ahead and call them exactly what they look like. A traitor guard army. Ooh, well, that'll be Vashtor, wouldn't it? Would that be Vashtor? I think that would be Vashtor. Okie dokie. So where are we up to now? We've got red, we've got brass, and we've got skin tones on the Hellbrute. Almost. Get that bit in there. There we go. So now we've got skin tones all over the Hellbrute. We bring him closer to hopefully the Shadow Cat. So we still need to do the multi-melter, which is a lot of metal. The inside of his claw, which I'm not sure what to do with. And all the steel parts. And then it's a great big wash on him. Or steel and skulls. Then it's a great big wash. On the Terminators, sorry. There's obviously his weapon, which will be done in the same way as Angry Ron, which will be the green with the purple wash. Then I've got lots of little bits of hair stuff, chainmail, skulls, more ivory parts. So lots of silvers, lots of ivories, lots of leathers. and bolt guns and all sorts of other weird and wonderful stuff. I have just spotted something else that needs to be done brass before I can finish. And this is not just going to be a one-off, this is going to be on every single bloody one of them. Which is the quarter circle chaos symbol on the gun. What a time to spot that, eh? Right at the end. But I do want to get all the brass bits done before I can move on. Brassy brass 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 brassier 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 is so good. Please don't ask. I never know what's going on in my head. It just happens and things come out of my mouth, which is why I sometimes get in trouble. Not a problem, man. You have a good night, Northern, and good luck in work tomorrow. Obviously, regarding those lightning claws, send me a DM. Discord, probably the easiest method, and we shall arrange something regarding that. Also, Twisted, once you've used those Terminator Apothecary bits, you won't mind giving me a bit of an update, because I am curious as to how they're going to be working out as well. I mean, we do share bits across each other in this community, and distance doesn't always stop us. Those Apothecary bits went over to America. Lightning claws are staying in the same country, though. Well, at most it's going to be, what, £4 for me to go get it posted and packaging wise, because that's basically the bus fare and how much it costs. £2 to get there, £2 to get back. And that's because you can get on quite a few buses for £2 in a row in Manchester. So, my plan for this evening... So, again, thank you for everyone who's come to join me. But my plan for this evening has been complete, which is getting all the brass done ready for more smaller, fiddly touches come November. But at least if I was to put these on the table, you could tell they were all part of the same force, and that is what I wanted to have at the end of it. So if I were to pull all 10 of these out and put them on the board with them, you can tell, yes, they are the same army. Which is good. And obviously they don't get mugged off by him too much, because they still blend and match with him. But as this is the end of tonight's stream, I will show you what I'll be doing next week. Well, we're starting next week. We're starting painting anyway. We've already built him. We've already built him. We just need to paint him. Now, whether or not he's going to be Death Skulls, Evil Suns, Bad Moons, or what, I'm not 100% sure on yet. Thank you very much, Twisted. But yes, Lasgull Thwacker with his 1, 2, 3 Makaris and his targeting squid with his big Daka gun there and his 2 whopping great big hammers. I do need to glue this on though. I do need to glue the art glyph over the Terror sign there. You can keep the Aegis, but I'm getting rid of the Terror. So we'll be having an art glyph over his knee instead. That should be fun. So I'll glue that on, and here's what I'm painting next week on the models and musings for ORKtober. Thursday's obviously Magical World of Sparkles and Oak, as always, and Wednesdays, providing I get the magazine, is Combat Patrol. So I'm looking forward to Combat Patrol on Wednesday because I get to finish the Votan bikes. And then Thursday I'm finishing off the Fox Ranger. It should be fun. Especially if I can brighten it up a little bit more like I want it to. Well, until then, thank you again for everybody who's come, anyone who's subscribed, anyone who's joined Discord, or done any of the other little clicky things down below. Thank you, all of you, and just for coming to spend your time with me. Please drive safe, and I'll see you next time.